Tomorrow afternoon, 2 Supreme Court justices will go where few justices have gone before, to testify to Congress. In our number one story, Justices Antonin Scalia and Stephen Breyer, regarded as the intellectual leaders of the court's liberal and conservative wings, are set to appear before the Senate Judiciary Committee. They rarely testify after they are confirmed, so the hearings will provide members rare access to justices. And our next guest, Congresswoman Louise Slaughter, says the Senate should not let that opportunity go to waste. The justices accepted an invitation from Senator Patrick Leahy, the Democrat of Vermont, to testify about the role of justices in American democracy. Afterwards, they'll take questions. In a letter to committee leaders today, Representative Slaughter and fellow Democratic House members asked Senate leaders to push the justices on ethics concerns, writing, "We urge committee members to use this rare forum with 2 associate justices of the Supreme Court to address outstanding questions regarding the adequacy of current ethics laws and procedures for the Supreme Court." Slaughter has been calling for an investigation of Justice Thomas for failing to report income and travel on disclosure documents. Specifically, the justice did not list his use of a conservative donor's private airplane and yacht, and also did not disclose the $700,000 his wife earned working for the conservative think tank, the Heritage Foundation. The Supreme Court justice calling that oversight a result of misunderstanding of the filing instructions. Joining me now, as promised, Representative Louise Slaughter, the Democrat of New York, and ranking member of the House Rules Committee. Good to talk to you again, Congresswoman.
Hey, Keith. Nice to see you.
So your first question to Justice Scalia would be what?
Shouldn't you recuse yourself? Keith, we've got some new information, too, on the amount of money not disclosed. It's $1.6 million that she made that was not disclosed. There were years that he did disclose her income and then took what I think is an affirmative action to vote to check the mark none for the rest of the years. It's not that he just ignored it or anything. He really took an action and said no income. That's against the law, Keith. That's against the law of 1978, the ethics law. We've written, of course, as you know, to Justice Roberts, actually is the head of the Judicial Commission. He heads that up, and we've asked if they refer it to the Attorney General. We can't do that. The courts will need to do that. But it is one of the most appalling events I think that we've ever seen. First, he won't answer any questions about it. But second, the idea that a justice of the Supreme Court cannot read a legal form is really hard for us to tolerate.
There's another letter that you've signed that's being unveiled tomorrow that asks.
We've asked both sides. We've written to the Republicans and the Democrats, the minority heads of that committee, to ask them to please find out what happens to a Supreme Court justice who flouts the law. As you know, being supreme is supreme. There's no, they are not bound by ethics laws like the rest of the judiciary. I am on a piece of legislation to try to change that because this, I think, has made it absolutely necessary. But we're not judging guilt or innocence. We want the people who are able to do it to make that judgment. But it is really quite startling to us that this has gone on all of these years. As I point out, there were years when he did fill it out. But I know I've got something really important I want to tell you tonight.
Okay.
We're learning about a whole new thing we might be able to do here. But first, I need to tell you that we released that letter to the Judiciary, the Commission, Friday at about 10 o'clock. By 4 o'clock, before I caught the plane to Rochester, 800,000 people had clicked on that on Huffington Post.
Wow.
17,000 left comments, almost 8,000 on Facebook. It has been an astonishing thing. I'm not sure whether people thought we were moribund up on the hill, and they were happy to see we weren't. But whatever it is, this is really something the public cares about. But what I'm very interested here, as you know, is the votes that he has cast that I think may be in conflict. And, of course, his wife can work. But the fact is there are only 9 justices on that Supreme Court, and it certainly should be a given that a family member of any of those people lucky enough to be a Supreme Court justice should not in any way involve themselves in matters that will go before that court. Now, we all know that she worked very hard for the Citizens United case, which I think is one of the most egregious things that's ever happened in the United States Supreme Court.
Agreed.
There is such a thing as a retroactive recusal. We're looking into that. That case, if you remember, was decided 5-4. If we could take away his vote, we could wipe that out. It would lose.
Goodness.
How about that?
That's only the future of the democracy there, isn't it?
Yes, indeed, and we are absolutely... You know, the judiciary is the last place for all of us to go. We're only as good all of us, as the courts are, only as safe as the courts are good. Their interpretations are really what give us the freedoms, when you come down to it. They have enormous power. I know the attempt is always made to put the very best persons on that court, and as I said again, I'm trying not to prejudge him. Mm-hmm. But you can't say, in my view, that what he did was not willful by failing to report her income. And I think there's no question about it. It is against the law. So we are hoping that the Judiciary Commission will turn this over to the Attorney General.
Goodness, retroactive reversal. We'll look more into that.
Did you ever hear of that? Isn't that great?
Well, trust me, we'll do a segment on it tomorrow night.
Retroactive recusal.
Representative Louise Slaughter of the 28th District of the State of New York. As ever, Congresswoman, great thanks for your time tonight.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Thanks.
Retroactive recusal. We'll have a feature on it tomorrow night. That's Countdown for Tuesday, 399 days until the presidential election. I'm Keith Olbermann. Give yourself a round of applause for another day of getting through another day of this crap. Good night and good luck.